the time who sees us and who hears us. We continue to be confronted by problems of blacklisting, which pale into insignificance when compared to climate change, but which destroy our financial sector. The illicit flow of weapons, such that the ease with which people can go into public spaces and shoot and kill others is now regarded as just another item on the news because we promote profit in the manufacture and trade of guns and weapons, of non-communicable diseases that strike down our people in the most insidious of ways because we allow diets that promote the prosperity of a few multinational corporations to become the norm of the day with the food that we eat and the lives that we live. And in the case within our own community, Belize and Guyana continue to face challenges to their territorial integrity. I suppose people feel that because we have talked so long about Belize and Guyana and Cuba, that we can continue to talk about climate change and these other things, and that it is okay for it to be another tick on a UN General Assembly speech. These are all threats to our stability, to the people's stability in our lands. But you know, since last we met, there are other instances and circumstances, not of our making, that may yet destabilize us. And we say it over and over, but we ask who is listening. And you know, we don't come with tales of woe only. The Caribbean has produced excellence. It really has. Nobel laureates, sportsmen who have excelled and are the best in the world of their type, artists, the best in the world of their type, leaders who have inspired previous generations and current generations. We don't come here as a proud people asking for handouts. We don't want and will not be mendicant. What we want, no, what we need is fiscal and policy space. Fiscal and policy space to achieve sustainable development, to be nimble, to adapt, and to innovate in ways that allow us to be true and faithful to the task of bringing prosperity to our people, or as in the theme of this General Assembly, to eradicate poverty, to educate our people, to include all such that there's not some outside and some inside. We want an international order equally that recognizes that there must be different policy prescriptions to suit the circumstances that we all have. And we can still be friends, small and large, north and south, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, all different races, all genders. An equitable and just international order that is truly built on the principles of justice and fairness for all and not just for some. A United Nations that recognizes that as 74 years old we must be able to have difficult conversations as mature people and solve them. Many in the developing world were persuaded or required to abandon policies that were designed for the majority of our population to be transformed. And those policies were fashioned to adopt a consensus that was settled in Washington, D.C. and named thereafter. And that ultimately, regrettably, was about the consolidation of wealth in the hands of a very few. And that's why we have seen the growing inequality that we have seen in the world over the last few decades. That is why too many people over the world have become cynical about governments and about the benefits that they can bring to them. The fueling of the greed of a few threatens to undermine what little gains we have made since independence. And we judge ourselves harshly because independence is a recent phenomenon for us. Others who have taken 150 years to get where they have gotten are still stumbling and falling. And you want to judge those who have had less than 50 or 60 years to operate in a world that has not been made in their image and that does not reflect their interests. This is the fate, my friends, of simply too many. And Mr. President, despite our small size, the 14 countries of the Caribbean community have been able to play leadership roles of international import. I can't stand here today without talking about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that has become the smallest nation of the world ever to be elected to the Security Council to sit on it. We are proud of them. In addition, and I want to speak to this, because when CARICOM was confronted with the unfolding situation in Venezuela, I accompanied the then chairman of CARICOM, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, to meet in this building with the UN Secretary General in January of this year. And we met with many delegations, and some said we were wasting our time, and some said the time for talk was already over. And we said then, as we say almost 9 months later, the time for dialogue, the time for talk, my friends, can never be over in a world that wants peace and prosperity. We don't take sides, but what we know is that you cannot propel war over dialogue. The people of Venezuela must be allowed to decide their own future in accordance with the principles of the United Nations Charter. Principles of non-intervention, non-interference, prohibition of the threat or use of force, respect for the rule of law, human rights, and democracy. It is regrettable that other multilateral organizations have not followed their own charters. And that is what makes the actions of our Secretary General of the UN more laudable, for refusing to breach his own charter and take actions even though member states have hurled into the recognition of those unelected. Our Caribbean Sea must remain a zone of peace, and for that we shall fight. Mr. President, I speak plainly and without fear, because from independence, Barbados' foreign policy has been premised on the simple principle of friends of all, satellites of none. Barbados, therefore, has always remained and will remain proud.
Hi guys, welcome back once again. I really hope you watched the full clip of Motley, and she has really came out and exposed the corruption that's really happening in the Caribbean, not only Jamaican. And one thing I really love about Motley, she's that kind one of a leader who she truly knows, or who she truly speaks, and the way she's fearless. A lot of people really admire her, and they really wish if she could be their leader, because that one kind of a leader who truly speaks with courage and point out whenever a leader does a wrong thing. Motley just really came out and talked about unity of these Caribbean countries and African countries, and she just really came out and said that the only way we can stop this corruption is by these leaders doing the right thing, because we have all known and we have all had cases of corruption in all these Caribbean countries and in African countries, because corruption is not a new thing to these leaders. There is a lot of puppet leaders who just want to fill their pocket, who doesn't want to care about the local people, because they just want to fill their pockets and make other people suffer. And Motley just truly came out and condemned that act, and she has really sent a warning message to all the Caribbean countries, not only Jamaica. Those puppet leaders, those leaders who doesn't want to do the work according to the will of people, they should now choose. And the local people are the ones who have the right to choose or change their leader. And if these local people can have the courage and have that energy to choose you. You should do what they want. Make them happy. Make them be happy, because these are the only people who are depending on you. They want you to change the country. They want the country to be free from corruption. Make sure the country has good hospitals, good schools, free from gang members, because a lot of youth outside there is high employment rate. And he has truly came out and warned the Caribbean leaders and African leaders. And all these leaders should copy notes from Mia Motley. Or one thing they should learn or copy notes is that from this one African leaders, Ibrahim Traoré. I hope you all know Ibrahim Traoré of what he has been doing to his country, Burkina Faso. And Burkina Faso right now is really trending because of how they were able to choose the right leaders, because Ibrahim Traoré doesn't favor or doesn't encourage any form of corruption in his country. Whenever a leader is found being corrupt, he fire him away. And this is the reason why Burkina Faso is really developing, because Ibrahim Traoré is doing the work according to will of his people. He is the definition of a true captain. And Mia Motley, she's that one kind of a leader who should truly speak out the truth and condemn all act of corruption. She has been talking about unity all over, and she truly wants Caribbean and African countries to unite together as one, so that at least these countries can move far better, and they can maybe be that developed, fast moving countries. Because when you come to Caribbeans, they have all resources, but the problem is just their leaders, the corrupt leaders, the puppet leaders. They don't want to do what their local people want them to do. A lot of Jamaican people, they have really came out and they have really talked bad things about Andrew Holness. They really need him to change, because they feel like he's not doing good things to his country. Talk about how Chinese, they have taken all over Jamaica. They come to Jamaica, they have been given 5 years tax-free without paying tax to do business in Jamaica, whereas a local person who in Jamaica can't do that business without paying tax. And these people, whenever they go to this country, they sell the product at cheap price, making that local Jamaica to suffer, because she can't sell anything to his people, because after all, people prefer cheap things. And one thing I just want to tell my Caribbean brothers and sisters and African brothers and sisters: support your business, support your brothers and sisters' business. Stop supporting these people, or maybe stop supporting these local or these investors that come to a country and they just want to take all over your country. Because we have all seen what is really happening to Jamaica. We have all seen what is happening to African countries. Whenever a leader is puppet, it's just being convinced, and it does what these investors want them to do, and leaving the local people to suffer, crying out of how the country, it doesn't go in the right way. So guys, we really hope things will be better. We really want these leaders to change, and it's not only Caribbean leaders, also African leaders, to copy notes from President Ibrahim Traoré of what he's doing to his people in Burkina Faso. He has been able to convince people to vote for him, and Burkina Faso people really came out and said that, and they said that they don't need other leader. They just want President Ibrahim Traoré to lead them all the way, because they have seen his work, they have seen he's doing a great job, and we want other African leaders to copy notes from him. We want other Caribbean leaders to copy notes from him, and our countries will be in a better position to fight this corruption, to fight all these things that are really bad, that are really happening to our country. So guys, we really hope our leaders will do what the local people want. We want our countries to develop like these other countries, to be on that top list whereby they're doing a great job. So guys, whenever we go to election, whenever we are choosing our leaders, make sure we are choosing the right leaders, because we have the power to do so. We have the power, and we are in that position to change any puppet leader or any greedy leader that doesn't want to do the work according to the will of people. So guys, if it was the first time you come across my video, don't forget to like this video, subscribe and share. Thank you so much for your time. May God bless you whenever you are. One love.